Well, here is a weanling stud colt that I call Churro. He is by Awesome Roni out of a daughter of High Drift and Hancock. He's the double-bred Twisty Sagebrush colt that I've been so excited about all year. This is the first time I have ever singled him out in order to start halter breaking. So this pen is a rectangular pen, so it's a little interesting as far as messing with these guys. I just didn't build a round pen this year for them. It's a lot easier if you're in a more confined pen. And all of these Awesome Roni colts this year are super gentle about people. They're not really scared of me per se. They just haven't ever been asked to do anything. They haven't been haltered or anything like that. So the first thing I like to do is throw the rope over their back and just let them carry it around the pen. I'm looking to eventually grab a hold of the end of my rope there. Get it kind of around his neck, because I'm obviously not going to be able to just walk up to him and halter him. And like I said, these colts are pretty doggone gentle. To be able to just walk up to him like that and pet on him is pretty cool. So this is something you can do as an alternative to roping one with one that isn't totally feral. So I grabbed a hold of the end of my rope there, and I just put the end of my lead rope through the noseband of the halter, just so I have something around his neck there. So I need to work on kind of showing him what pressure is first before I go to put that halter on. The flies were really bad. It was a super warm day, so all that stomping and swishing is for them. So that's the first time he's ever felt pressure before, and the second he offers to look at me there, I release. This guy's pretty cool. I've been able to pet on him and love on him in the pen quite a bit. He kind of wants to seek me out. He's just never had a halter on and never felt pressure before. I actually ended up working with all 6 of the weanlings on this particular day, and I think Churro was maybe the easiest one to work with. There, right when he faces me up, then I release, and he's wanting to take forward steps towards me. I'm not necessarily asking for that, it's just what he's offering. There's a lot of places here where you'll see me kind of go with the colt to prevent getting into any trouble. I'm trying to protect him and keep him from doing as much silly baby stuff as possible, while also starting to set boundaries and show him what is expected of him. If you just put an undue amount of pressure on these babies, you'll get them to rear up and flip over and throw themselves down. So I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. However, sometimes it's unavoidable and babies are going to do dumb stuff. But it's pretty interesting to see how all of them are going to respond here. Like, I didn't like that he turned his butt to me there, but I'm not going to do anything about it at this point. Because if I tried to correct him for that while he's still learning what pressure around his neck is, it's just going to make it into a mess. So I'm just looking for him to face me up, and that's it. And then I work on being able to approach him and love on him, and I'm just trying to get him a little more desensitized to having his neck and head touched, so I can eventually put the halter on him. He just goes to walk off there, and I'm just trying to wait him out until he faces me up again. He's actually pretty quick about figuring out what I'm looking for, and he's not too panicky about it. Poor bugger is fighting those flies the whole time. He's a little bit worried when I go to reach out to him there, but when I start scratching on him, he softens really quickly. There, I touched him on the bridge of the nose. When he takes forward steps there, he's not nearly as aggressive about trying to walk off. And maybe aggressive was the wrong word. He's just a lot quieter about it now. I try to scratch and love on these guys a lot. In the end, I want them to see the human as a good thing. I don't want them to be scared of me. So right here in the beginning, I'm just looking for him to face me up, and I'm asking for him to step a front towards me most of the time here, right when we first start out. And I'm combining that with a lot of approach and retreat and petting and scratching. And I'm making sure to do the same thing on both sides all the time. I'm really making an effort to touch him on his face there in preparation for haltering. This guy is so quiet. He really is a very nice colt. He's really nicely put together. Really wants to be sweet. I am very, very excited for this one. I simply can't stop talking about these awesome Roni horses. And I am so tickled to have the opportunity to work with so many of them. So right here, I'm messing with the rope around his neck and starting to get it kind of set up to be able to put the halter on. So usually what I'll do, I'll just put the halter on even though my lead rope is all goofy going through the noseband of it. And I'll get the halter on completely and then just feed my lead rope back through backwards. So then the lead rope is the way it's supposed to be. And that way, if the colt tries to leave at any point during this, I still have them caught. If I took everything off and they decided to leave, then they could figure out that they can get away from me, and I don't want that to happen. So that's what all the finagling is right here. Like right there, I still have a hold of him so I can pick him up. And he's not trying to leave with any gusto. He just kind of casually goes to take a step away. But this is the first time that this colt has ever worn a halter. So I'm going to keep playing around. My pressure is a lot more specific now. It's not just around his neck. So I have a little more control, but you have to take that with a grain of salt. I still don't want to reef on him at all. I want to show him how to be soft and set him up for how he's going to be asked in the future. Once again, I do a lot of loving on these guys. And every session that I have with them, I'm going to try to rub and pet on them more. And eventually I'll start handling their feet too. But my main focus on this first session was to be able to step fronts and roll hinds. And if they offer forward steps, great, but I'm not necessarily looking for that during this first session. I just want to show them how to free up. He's a little bit resistant there, and I just wait until he faces me up. You have to be really patient with these little guys. They just don't understand. Another goal of mine here was to not get anybody sweat up. I don't want this to be a big deal. I wanted it to be a really calm, quiet experience for them. We can just go through the motions here, and end in a good place and call it quits. And with these little guys, I like to work them for about 15 minutes to half an hour. And I try not to make the sessions go any longer than that because there's only so much that these little guys can retain. And I don't want to push them. He gets a little bit worried about the pressure right there. I just try my best to stay with him until he faces me up and settles, and then release again. And there's going to be a lot of rooting and screwing around. That's pretty normal. They just don't know what that pressure is. Kind of got a little exciting right there. He tried to back up into that tire to get away from the pressure. There's a nice little lick and chew while he's facing me up right there. He realized that that didn't really get him what he wanted. And I'm only looking for one step. He's trying to back up and throw his head in the air to get away from the pressure. And that's just not going to work. He's kind of getting himself into a bad spot there, so I put a little bit of pressure on him to have him walk forward. Now, he doesn't know anything, so I'm trying to be as gentle as I can, use as little pressure as I can. That was really nice right there. You can see him lick and chew a little bit. This colt is super cool. He wants to be sweet. He wants to do the right thing. Once you show him something, it's there. He seems to retain fairly well. He's not too touchy, but he's sensitive enough that he wants to be soft. So right here I'm looking for hinds. So once they're stepping their fronts fairly decently, then I'll start looking for them to roll their hinds around. Right there. Just a step. That's all I'm looking for. This is as basic as it gets. There he stepped to front. That was beautiful right there. Really, really good stuff. This colt was really, really fast to figure that out. All the other guys are going by the camera there. That's kind of cool. Rolling hinds there on the other side. Really good stuff. This stuff will be touched on and reinforced throughout this colt's entire life. It's really important to touch on it here. And without control of those quarters, you don't really have anything. What a nice little guy. I am very, very excited for this colt. I step in and look for him to roll his hinds again right here. He kind of wants to back up. So I have light pressure on the halter, and I'm just going to wait for him to offer the right response. And when he finally does, then I'll release. What a nice guy. Every spare moment here, I'm petting on these colts. I lay my lead rope over his back and step away to go grab the fly spray, and he turns to follow and watch me. And then when I come back in, I walk right up to him and pick up my lead rope off his back. This is the first time that this guy's ever even seen fly spray, so he's a little bit worried about it at first there. And I look for him to step a front and then kind of come off my pressure a little bit. He's pretty unsure, and then gives, and you can see him licking and chewing there. So then I started to make a psh, psh, psh sound with my mouth as I was fly spraying him, and it was kind of a warning, and he was pretty okay with it then. But that's the first time he's ever had that foreign feeling on his legs, and I haven't desensitized his legs or anything like that. I just wanted to see if he would let me fly spray him to give him a little bit of relief, because those things were just vicious on this particular day. He's wanting to really feel of me and follow a feel there on the lead rope. There he's kind of uncertain. But I just wait for him, and he finally steps a front. He's letting me pet him on the forehead now. I'm looking for his hinds. He kind of has me smooshed against the fence right there. So I ask him to go the other direction. I'm looking for those hinds to roll around again here. He really is trying to be soft on that halter. And I'm just waiting for him. Right there was excellent. He's a lot more quiet about me touching his head. He loves to be loved on. So I'm going to rub on his face and mess around a little bit with being able to take the halter off, and maybe ask him to tip his nose to me and put the halter back on. And this is kind of preparing him for being haltered the next time. I don't want me touching his face to be a surprise. He follows me as I walk away. That's a really cool sentiment. And I open the gate for him. And then swapped my videos to another clip. And I actually had to push him around and ask him to leave the pen. He was pretty content being in there with me. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed.